Welcome, Claudia Batten, to Defying Gravity. It is such a joy to have you here. Um, wow, how many things can I say? Woman in the Year with Next, New Zealand's favourite entrepreneur, I've read. Just dying to hear about your career because you've had a lot of fun and success. I, of course, know you as the most fun, brightest student in my tutorial class back in law school. So we go way back, but it's just been really fun to watch from a distance, and I'd love to hear the story. Since law school, you have multiple startup successes, and I'd love to hear about it.
Amazing. That's it. That's an incredible introduction. I so feel like that's revisionist history that I was your brightest.
No, you're
The brightest person in your tutorial.
Bright smart.
So yeah, I mean, I guess I started out, doing what a lot of us do and going to university and getting classic degrees. So I did law and commerce, and even, had to get honours because, honours in law, because what's the smarty pants to do but to try and get the collector set of all the degrees. And then the next thing you do on your, normal career path is you go out and you get a job. And so I was lucky enough to enter the Russell McVeigh alumni and work for them as a commercial lawyer. They were all very normal, very, very, very as you'd expect.
How'd you make the break?
Yeah, so there's just a point, right, where I was negotiating and I kept having this feeling that I wanted to be on the other side of the table. It's just a feeling. There was no logic to it. I'd been meanwhile also reading a lot about what was happening in the US from an e-com standpoint and just fascinated. And it just came a point where the logic in my brain dictated that I needed to move to New York and enter into so I thought more marketing, so I'd done marketing through my degree and I loved consumer behavior and branding and all the rest of it. So I thought that I would go to the US and that's what I would do to be part of the e-commerce environment. Well, I got to the US, but it was just after 9/11 and there wasn't real interest for a lawyer from New Zealand to come and be part of any one of the big companies that I thought I should go and work for. And as a consequence, through a variety of steps, I ended up helping out at a company for free because I couldn't work. I didn't have a visa at that point. And quickly kind of, I guess, showed my capability and was sponsored to a visa and got a job. And that led to all of the entrepreneurial adventures that followed. So that's the short version of a very long story.
Nice break. And wow, offer yourself for free. That's a really interesting career advice at the moment with people coming out and wanting to make it.
Yeah,
super interesting. Good on you. So tell us about your startups. You've had a series of successes. How did you strike them? Just give us your modern history.
I mean, these are such long stories. Which the very short version. So the first company was massive and we put advertising into video games, but we did it dynamically through an ad client server. So it was the first time that had ever been done. Prior to that, the only way you could advertise in a video game was product placement, which had to be coded into the game well in advance. And so it's not like any one of us woke up in the morning and had this idea, although actually our CEO did kind of have an epiphany of that specific idea. But it was as a consequence of a number of, we call them pivots of chasing various, versions of that. Started with very randomly a business that was doing peer-to-peer network integration software. That is a mouthful. We pivoted that into video games to do a testing tool that wasn't very interesting to video game publishers, so that was a bit of a bust. And then through our awareness and knowledge of video games, became very aware of this lost boy syndrome, which is that males aged 18 to 34 at the time were absent of traditional advertising channels because they were gaming. And there was a great Wall Street Journal article on this, and that kind of opened up the idea that, well, what if we could create an advertising channel and advertise to that audience? So that's where that idea came from. So we did a lot of things wrong and a few things right, and then managed to get noticed by Microsoft, who have a gaming division. So we were in there working with them anyway. And they ended up buying Massive, which was an amazing exit and an incredible story. And I worked for Microsoft for 3 years after that. And then I kind of got to a point where that wasn't as exciting as I wanted my life to be. And so went back in and did another startup, actually. So left Microsoft and then was really curious about the concept of crowdsourcing. It was very new at the time. I'd met this amazing guy, John Windsor, in Boulder, Colorado. He and I just had a few chats, and I literally, after one of the conversations, went home, wrote a business plan. I think it was like 10 pages. It was not long. And we went and shopped it to 2 VCs, like, I don't know, next day, kind of. And one of them funded us. Like, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And so awesome. And so we basically developed an advertising agency that was built on the principles of crowdsourcing. So we were an ad agency, but we utilized freelance creators who were anywhere and everywhere on the internet.
Yeah, amazing. Almost probably about the era of Redbubble here in Australia, and that kind of bringing in creatives from everywhere on a marketplace. It's really
It became
the name. Yeah,
it's really became quite a thing.
yeah. I love the name of that agency, Victorious.
Victor's the spoils. To the victor goes the spoils.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Was that in the first 10 pages?
No, actually, that was Evan Fry, who was our chief creative officer, and he came in a little bit after we got started, but we knew we needed someone incredible to lead the creative piece, and he is just unbelievable. And we crowdsourced it, so we took it out and got some name ideas. I think that was his name. I seem to remember him having a list of 10 names, actually, and he sent them, and I was like, ooh, that one. And he was like, yeah, I think it's that one. And then I think actually we crowdsourced the logo, not the name, but yeah.
That's amazing. And today you're back in New Zealand, New Zealand, and portfolioing.
Portfolioing, yeah, that's a tricky one for a Friday morning. We've just made it one. Yeah, I had this personal philosophy, theory, whatever you want to call it, that career progression is actually much more of a squiggly progression than it is the linear one. And so I've had this, exited Victors and Spoils. We sold that to Havas Worldwide, which is another amazing exit. And then I just literally said, I just want to stop for a second, but I'm going to have a year of yes, which I know a lot of people have done. And just did anything and everything that came my way, which I don't know that was the brightest idea in the world, but I did that. And I just had this desire to do something different, and also something expansive. And actually, after that year, and I'd looked at another startup, but it just kind of didn't want to happen. I got approached by New Zealand Trade and Enterprise to run their North American division and bring an entrepreneurial, innovative lens to how we do, how we support businesses into North America from New Zealand. So I said yes to that, and the tail end of that year, and moved to LA and did that role in LA. And then, my joke is I moved from New York to Colorado to LA and then into New Zealand. So I progressively went
You're heading west.
But yeah, but with my cowboy from Texas, actually, it was hilarious. Yeah. And so, ended up in New Zealand. And so from New Zealand Trade and Enterprise, it was amazing. And just so incredible to work with a really broad spectrum of New Zealand businesses and really helping them to think about how to explore that market. And then had started some board work during that time and ended up loving it. Like, governance is really interesting as an entrepreneur. Like, hated it to start with. I was like, if I have to sit through another audit and risk meeting, I'm just going to punch a wall. And I'm not quite that dramatic, but it's a good story. And I've over time, like, audit risks actually become one of my favorite committee meetings just because of the lens it gives the business, right? And over time, I think I've become a better and better governor, bringing the legal, bringing the entrepreneurial, bringing that consumer insight, and then I think bringing kind of that big future thinking, which on a good day annoys all my other directors. And I'm like, but what if? Are we limiting ourselves? And so, yeah, I've got a portfolio now of 4 boards. So I'm the chair of Circo. That's a travel an online booking tool with corporate travel as our focus. I'm on the board of Vista, and we do ticketing software for the global cinema industry. Both Circo and Vista are amazing New Zealand entrepreneurial global technology stories. And then on the board of Air New Zealand, which is amazing.
Close to every Kiwi's heart.
Close to every Kiwi's heart. And just joined the board of Michael Hill Jeweller. So I have this deep Kiwiness element to everything that I do, and I'm a really big supporter and champion of entrepreneurial stories in the main, and any kind of New Zealand going global story. So that's how my portfolio has been created.
Yeah, fantastic. Amazing, Claudia. It's quite a story. Now, we're we're called Defying Gravity, and I know that journey, it always, in retrospect, sounds like it was, beautifully planned, the squiggly lines included, and everyone was a hit. But what were some of the challenges you struck? Kiwi in New York looking for a job, we've heard that one. You broke in. What were your challenges as you built these businesses, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I love this question. And I think that at the end of the day, everything's a challenge. And that's actually the point. Like, the point is that when you're doing big, extraordinary things that haven't been done before, you shouldn't expect anything to be straightforward, and it's not. And as you move through those moments that are really, truly difficult and humbling, you you slowly build this resilience muscle that allows you to make better and better decisions as you progress through your career. And so a huge amount of this is just execution by fire, and me just having to just deal with challenge after challenge after challenge. I mean, I could literally, I could list a million. I'm quite sure. He's quite sure we could do the longest YouTube interview ever with me rattling off of challenges. But I truly think that's the point. The point is, this is hard stuff. It's difficult stuff. You've got to have the grit for that, the determination for that, and build the muscle for that. I don't think you wake up one morning and have the strength for that. You just slowly, decision by decision and hard thing by hard things, you build it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. There's something in how you're saying it too. Like, and I know grit, there's lots of research that says grit is the single most determining factor of success. So that totally resonates. But there's also a joy in the challenge that I hear in you.
Yeah.
Is that part of it? Do you need to be someone who really loves puzzling hard challenges? Like, because I hear joy, even though.
Yes, I do love it. I do love it. I mean,
Interesting.
it's all I've done, and I do feel like even now as a director, it's all I do. And I do a lot of mentoring of, younger, bit smaller businesses as well, and just really try and coach on developing that, but with joy. And like the other founders that I work with, we laugh about, we think we're dorks, and I'm sure we are. But we enjoy the challenge. And I think if you're not, like, what's the point?
Yes, if it's drudgery, it's too long a journey, isn't it?
It's just too hard. If it's gonna exhaust, and look, don't get me wrong, a lot of pints of ice cream have been eaten in this journey. Like, it's, there are bad days. There are definitely bad days. There are definitely days where you feel like it's all falling apart. It's never going to happen. Like, there's so many days like that. And I'm not skipping joyfully necessarily in those moments, but I do know that the orientation is one that I've got to turn back on. And it is like, we talk about puzzling. I actually was just saying to somebody yesterday, I think it was, that I basically do business puzzles as my job and love it. And, if you sit down in front of a puzzle, it's really overwhelming. You get in a 1,000-piece puzzle, and you're even just freaking turning all the pieces so they show up the right way, and getting a table that's big enough is like a challenge to start with. But then you look at that and you're like, oh, that's yeeks, I could get really overwhelmed by that. But you just find a place to start, and then you just putting one piece in at a time, and that's how you build the puzzle. And I just think building a business is the same way.
Yeah, just find a place to start. And
Find a place to start.
that's so interesting about boards, because I do think, the easy problems don't come to board, do they? It's always really hard.
No, we don't. Maybe the easy ones. I remember our team coming and saying, "Oh, we're on this floor. We want to move up to that floor because they've moved out." And I'm like, "Well, but I don't need to know about this. Like, is it in the is it in the budget? Is it going to distract you? And don't spend silly money. Go figure it out. Don't let me see any of these behaviors. Next." Oh, okay. So now let's look at something hard. Yeah, you don't even dwell on I don't even dwell on the easy things.
Yeah. Beautiful puzzling. Just find a place to start. I love that. Yeah. Top advice from so much wisdom. I know we could go all day. You're absolutely right. I could certainly chat with you all day. But if you were to summarize, what's your top advice for a founder or CEO?
Look, I think it comes to this resilience point, because actually, as I was talking about that, I was thinking there's this amazing young entrepreneur who's in my, close group of folks that I mentor and support, and just incredible. What she's doing is just phenomenal, and it is a truly hard, never been done before problem that she's solving. And she has moments where she's just defeated. It's just she's like, this is not working, everything's just not working.
Yeah.
And I keep saying to her, but we know that you can figure this out because you've done it before. And not just once, you've done this multiple times. You can do this. You have a history and a fact that is built up of overcoming these challenges. I'm like, do you want me to list them? Because I know what the hell are like, because we've shared them. And just knowing and trusting in yourself that you can solve this problem. And maybe it's not obvious what the solution is, but that's great, because you're not doing obvious work. You're not in here copycatting other people or cookie cutting your way to victory. You are doing something enormously difficult and brand new. And so just looking at the fact, and it is piece by piece of doing this, of just going, well, I can do this because I've done it before. You just need to go outside and have a walk, or need to talk to, what are the other things that maybe you need to do to give yourself inputs and support.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing. Like, it's not a straight shot to victory. And many startups are not victorious, but the point is you're developing that problem solving muscle, you're developing that capability and that resilience. And that is what step by step and challenge by challenge is going to help you win.
Yeah. Beautiful. That is fantastic advice. And the self-belief needed to back that properly. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to. I mean, who can only really rely on yourself, right? And I think surrounding yourself with networks actually would be something I would add into that, right? Because
Yes.
she hears that from me as a reinforcement when she needs me, and my networks and the people around me were critical. It's why I'm a really big fan of trying to create support groups for folks who are in this founder entrepreneurial space, because it's lonely and it is hard, and you do need mates from time to time.
Yeah. And maybe external to problem solving.
Definitely.
Fresh perspectives.
Fresh thinking, fresh perspectives. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I could talk all day, but that has been golden. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're so welcome. Thank you.